Good evening, everybody. Hope you are having a wonderful Sunday evening. I do apologize for my absence. There have been some nature issues that have somewhat impacted my streaming, at least on Thursday. Saturday, last night, I was actually out of town with family up in St. Louis, well, St. Charles. So wasn't really able to stream last night. So I figured, why not go ahead and make up the Saturday stream on a Sunday for the Dozer Den DJ hour. We do have a topic that we will do a little bit of a watch and react to at least half of an interview between Michael Knowles and the rogue archaeologist. I forgot his actual name, but he goes by the rogue archaeologist. Really fantastic conversation. Actually, I've only made it about 20 minutes in, but I thought it was really cool and thought it was kind of an esoteric type of topic. So I figured that might be good for a Saturday stream on a Sunday. Guys, if you have not smashed that like button yet, go ahead and do me a real big favor and smash that like button. Thump the like button. Caress the like button. Lean in real close to that like button. Whisper sweet nothings into its ear and do a big deep. And we do not want to be like creepy Uncle Joe Biden. No, we do not, guys. And you know what? You know what? I think I'm at that point. I've had the FJB and the Let's Go Brandon. I've had this bracelet on I had a black one on first. Then I had to go white, because the black one broke. It just didn't last as long. I think it might be time to go ahead and take it off. What do you guys think? Do you think I should take the Let's Go Brandon FJB bracelet off, or do you think I should keep it on just in case the lingering odor of the last administration rears its ugly head in a particularly offensive way? What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat what you guys think. Let me check it out here. Good to see. Yeah, you got one too. Sweet. Got Trader Todd in the chat. Nice to see us. Sluppy Lou apparently knows the rogue archaeologist. Had a bit of a falling out. Well, I am sorry about that. That happens. That does happen from time to time. Thank you, Sheriff Hector, for the red pill over there on Pill.net. Guys, we are currently streaming to Rumble, X, YouTube, locals at the dozerden.locals.com. Little community that we're growing over there. You do have to pay a little bit to participate in the live chat and in the comments, but that is the way of things. That is the way of things at times. So, if you want to support me in that way, I think it's $5 a month for the dozerden.locals.com. Cool thing about locals, even though the UI is a little bit sketch at times, the live chat is one of the most free speech live chats on the interwebs. Pretty much, don't show genitalia and don't have direct threats of violence, and you're going to be doing just fine. You could also, if you want to support this channel, make sure to follow here. Follow Bulldozer74, guys. We are at 837 followers the last I checked. By the way, let's do a quick shout out to our new followers because we had a few since the last stream. One of them might have been a scam, so just saying. Let's see. I think we had... there we go. D&D Doge, Nathaniel 00027, Jazz Sun 123, Sportfish 177 from the Watchers chat, Robert Gavea's chat, I'm fairly sure, UTT, Moneyboys 1. I don't know if you're real or not, but your request immediately to follow you back, and the fact that your content just seems to be other people's content posted on here, leads me to believe maybe it might not be a real account. I don't know. Say something in the chat if you're real. And then we have John Blake. I saw followed earlier today, so thank you guys so much to the new followers. Like I said, we're at 837. I would love to hit that 1,000 follower mark at some point. It's coming, guys. It's coming. It'll happen eventually. You extra special killdozers here in the Dozer Den absolutely have the ability to help grow this army. Currently metaphorical. It's going to stay that way. We got a little bit of coffee because I am a little bit sleepy. Stayed at a hotel last night and woke up a little bit early so that we could make the trip back down south. Being as it is The Dozer Din DJ Hour show. We will be taking music video requests throughout the stream. I will do my best to grab them from the chat. If you would like me to play a song, just put the link to it in the chat. I will copy and paste over there. And currently with Rumble Studio, as I am using Rumble Studio, I have to do a little bit of a finagling here with the Cobalt downloader here, Cobalt Tools. So I download it to the computer and then I upload it to Rumble Studio so that the audio is fantastic. So that's the goal, anyways. If you would like your music video to be bumped up to the front of the line, or at least closer to the front of the line, you could always donate via Rumble Rant, Cash App, Venmo, or by gifting subs. If you gift some subs to your fellow chatters, that will also move you up. I will do my best to keep an eye on the chat and make sure that I grab all those that do request a song. And I don't think we're going to be going as late as we normally would on a Dozer Din DJ hour on a Saturday, because I have an 8 a.m. appointment, so I probably can't go till 2 or 3 in the morning. So we'll probably wrap up around the 2.5, 3 hour mark. Not even lying about that. But I wanted to do a little bit of the Michael Knowles interview with the rogue archaeologist. Fantastic discussion. The little bit that I heard, because I didn't hear it all yet, but I thought it was interesting, and I, at least the last 40 minutes of the hour that we're going to play tonight, hour or so. I don't think we're going to play the whole thing. Just kind of depends on how many music video requests we get, because if we get a whole bunch of music video requests, then I will cut off the interview at about an hour, and I might save the second part of that interview for a little bit of premium time on the Monday stream. This week, we are going to be streaming Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Thursday, I might be out of town, so I may end up getting back and doing a Friday stream. I might. I don't know yet. It's all a little bit up in the air right now, figuring out what we're going to do with that. So I will be staying at a hotel again. Kind of getting, hotels are kind of, it's a change up. It is. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be enjoying many more hotel stays, because I got to take stuff with me. I do have a CPAP because I suffer from short fat neck syndrome. And so I do take my CPAP with me, because I would rather have a restful night's sleep and not wake up with a horrendously sore throat. So, yeah, I bring all that stuff with me. Distilled water jug and everything. Well, usually a little water bottle of it, but oh man, guys, there has been a lot going on. We've got the tariff war, which a lot of people are freaking out about. I, for the life of me, can't understand why on earth we've had an economy run by a mentally ill stock market for the last 100 or so years. It's what it's based on. Literally, it is based on anxiety, depression, and just the fecklessness of the human psyche. That is what our economy is founded on right now. The stock market should not control how our economy is run. That's just me on my base level with a, very, very minimal understanding of economics. I think it's kind of silly that we have an institution that is so fluid and so weak that people being scared or anxious about a story that isn't even 100% confirmed can affect a sell-off. That has never made sense to me. It doesn't seem like that type of system really has legs. I saw actually a post from old beanie man himself, Tim Pool, saying that Trump has done more to harm millionaires and billionaires over the past week than the left has done, than Sanders, old Bernie Commie Sanders, has done in the past, decade. It's a good point. The whole discussion about it's been so back and forth. Like, there's been some really smart people going back and forth. There are some that are saying it's going to tank everything, and the current system hasn't been working. Why not have a shakeup? Do I have really much invested in the stock market? Not a goddamn penny, not really. I've got a retirement, so there's that. But I don't think it's directly tied to the stock market. So, yeah, it's different kind of thing. But what's up, Trish? Lovely mod in the chat. Thank you so much. Take your time. Enjoy the time with your family. Eating some dinner. Very nice. I had some leftover Papa John's pizza, and oh my gosh, guys, I have forgotten. I'd forgotten how much I enjoy Papa John's pizza. That stuff is absolutely delicious. I honestly, I think it puts Domino's and Pizza Hut to shame. If you're gonna have a delivery pizza, Papa John's is where it's at. The cheese, oh, it's such good cheese. The sauce, the crust, all of it just hits everything. It's all the good spots. But yeah, oh man, guys, so okay, I did an old the other day. So, if you guys didn't know, we were without power for about 2 whole days. Um, and it wasn't fun, at all. I actually have some pictures on the Discord that I might pull up here. I have we'll play this fun little clip here. Yeah, I think it's this one. I took some videos of the severe weather, because why not? Why not? Document a little bit. Let me pull this up. All right. There we go. Let me pull it up here. We had some crazy storms through this neck of the woods, and there have been a lot of people who experienced some severe damage, and prayers to them for sure. I contacted some people to try to figure out if there were any groups in my area that were getting together to go help, but nobody really got back to me. So I guess they're more focused on like rescue crews and stuff like that and official operations. But if uh, if there was any way I could go help, I would definitely do so. Because there were some tornadoes that ran through. There were some tornadoes, and there has been some pretty rough flooding going on in this area. Um, a lot of fields look like lakes. My oldest daughter, on the way back from St. Louis or St. Charles today, was kept asking, "Has that always been a lake?" No, honey, no, it has not. That is a field, but it looks like a lake right now. It's a good observation. Let's check out the light show that we had going on, and of course, I've got to make a joke about things. I've got to add a little bit of levity to a potentially serious situation. That's just how I run. Oh yeah, some crazy lightning. Wow, it's like a nature's rave. Yes, I am a dork, and I embrace my dorkiness. I embrace it wholeheartedly. Oh man. Yeah, I'm drinking a little bit of coffee because I was a little bit tired, not gonna lie. But I figured I owed a stream, so might as well go ahead and get the Dozer Din DJ Hour stream out today. We do have our first topic. Like I said, we're gonna be watching about an hour, maybe a little bit more of that interview between Michael Knowles, which honestly, he's the only person that I like over there on he's the only one I like from the Daily Wire, and I would be glad if he gets breaks free of them. Ben Shapiro is a twat. I used to like Andrew Clavin, but he's a shill as well and has some very not enough flip the tables energy for me, honestly. A very very smart man, Andrew Clavin, but I just kind of outgrew listening to him. So eh, his I think it was a discussion that I saw between him and somebody else on Timcast, I believe, and his demeanor his approach that he took was just, yeah, a little bit rough. Times like this is where churches should be helping their communities. Yes, absolutely. And I reached out to like the Elks, and I didn't directly reach out to Knights of Columbus, but I need to see if there's any groups getting together to help with cleanup. And if I need to take off work to go help clean up one of the communities, because there's a community near me about 40 miles or so um, from me that, or 40 minutes, excuse me, that it got hit really, really hard. A lot of houses, a lot of structures were destroyed. I heard up to 6 deaths, but that hasn't been confirmed yet. I know for sure there was at least one death. So, like I said, prayers to that community and any of the communities across the Midwest and I think the storms kept going even over all the way to the East Coast. So prayers to everybody affected by the horrendous weather that we've had. It was not a good week for springtime storms. Like I like some springtime storms, just not the ones that'll kill you. Those I could deal without those. Definitely. Yeah. Guys, if you have not shared this stream out with your loved ones yet, share this stream with your friends, your family, your ex girlfriends, boyfriends, Zers, them friends. I'm not judging. As long as you leave the animals and the children out of it and it's consensual and between adults, I really don't care. Share it with a liberal that you want to piss off. Because I'm probably not going to be someone they want to listen to. And maybe if they listen to me for a second or two, it'll just get them flared up and they'll be in a tizzy. And you'll have done your job in the universe by pissing off a liberal. Some good coffee. Some good coffee I'm sipping on. It's that 1775 dark roast. I'm not going to lie. I do enjoy it. Guys, don't forget, it is the Dozer Den DJ Hour stream. If you have a music video request, throw it out there in the chat, and I will be copying and pasting off to the side and putting them on deck for when we get to that portion of the show. Now going down below freezing and back into the 20s next week. Yep. So, Nightwolf, good to see you. Thanks for joining this episode of the Dozer Den. Don't forget to smash that like button. It's the right thing to do, guys. That like button, it needs to be smashed. It's the right thing. It wants the smashing. It's consensual. Bubba Trump, he says sometimes you gotta smash that like button. You gotta smash the plussy. It used to be called the plussy in the old days of Rumble. It was a plus sign. We affectionately referred to it as the plussy. You could grab them by the plussy. They ask you, when you've got the monies, you get the honeys. That's right. It's exactly how Trump said it. Exactly. Yeah, Trish, I'm going to be covering my magnolia with a sheet, I believe. I don't want it to die. It got zapped last year and I thought it was dead, but it is. It had a bloom. It was a gorgeous little bloom on my magnolia. And now it's got leaves, and I don't want them to die. It's not going to get down below freezing tonight, so I don't think I need to cover it tonight. Tomorrow night, it's going to get quite chilly. So, good to see everybody slowly trickling in here. It is not my typical streaming day, so might be a little bit sparse, but that's okay. Let me check and see over there on the X machine. See how we're doing. By the way, if you haven't followed me on X yet, at BillDozer74 __, that's the at Dozer74. Probably another way that you can find me over there on the X machine. Currently, we are at, let's look, 3,628 followers on the X machine. I'm not really sure why. If you're watching me on X, do me a real quick favor and go over to rumble.com. Follow BillDozer74. Let BillDozer74 be one of your first follows on Rumble. If you don't have a Rumble account, or if you aren't very active on there, let this channel be one of your follows. Late to the party. It's all right, it should be Nomad. Good to see you, bud. With a little whoosh, slap at a peach. That's right. That right there, guys. If you subscribe to BillDozer74, you will get access to some of those amazing emotes, like the animated slap of the peach. Look at the jiggle physics on it. It's amazing. I spent at least an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours selecting all of those amazing emotes for you, the people, you amazing killdozers here in the Dozer Den. It's a labor of love, guys. A labor of love. But yes, and your name will be lit up in the most beautiful shade of MAGA red. It's the Rumble Rash, as some call it, and the only treatment is more America. And I think we're gonna get more America, guys. I really do. I think the way things are going, I know a lot of people are concerned, a lot of people are, freaked out about all the tariffs and stuff like that. But my opinion, guys, I think we're gonna see some positive things coming. I really do. It might take a little bit though. People need to be able to look past their nose. I think we have a society that is severely slave to instant gratification. That's what I think. And I think this is a shakeup that we probably need. And it might be tough for a little bit. And I've told so many people. I've told Lady Dozer, I told my brothers, I told people online that the economy is gonna suck for the first year, mostly because of what the last administration did. They set up so many they just set up a minefield for this incoming Trump administration to encounter. It's not excusing. It's not excusing poor ideas. But honestly, economically, I think they're doing the right things. It's going to hurt people's pocketbooks a little bit. Prices are probably going to go up in some aspects. Although I did hear an interesting perspective from Robert Barnes over on the Beaver and Barnes on Sunday, that the just because the American made is going to cost a little bit more to manufacture, the prices don't necessarily have to correlate. There doesn't have to be a direct correlation between that. So, yeah, some of the protest videos from yesterday are pretty hilarious. You know what, guys? I didn't even realize there was like when people said the hands off protest, I was spending time with family yesterday. So, I didn't even really know about those. And I don't feel like giving them that much attention. There's probably some funny ones though. There's some people that are very, very mentally unwell that are out there protesting. And as long as you're protesting, here's the thing. As long as you're keeping it non-violent and you're just expressing yourself verbally and you're making your voice heard, I'm fine with that. Go for it. Freedom of speech. But when you bring it to violence and you're attacking people and you're burning stuff, that's not protest. And that's not okay. And you deserve to go to prison for a long time for that. You attack somebody's vehicle, you absolutely have you have forfeit your right to safety at that point. If you've come in and started attacking someone's personal property, be ready to meet a swift end if you know what I fucking mean. Um, don't do that. Don't be that guy or that person. It's stupid. Guys, I did forget to mention, since it is going to be the Dozer Den DJ hour, even though it's not a Saturday, if somebody was so inclined to make a donation of $20 or more, or gifted out 5 subs to the channel, I will. This is his little pedestal right now. He's sitting atop the skull shot class. I have some Tullamore Dew off to the side here. I will take a shot of the Tullamore Dew, but I will not take a shot of this delightful bourbon, double oaked Woodford Reserve. It's got a good cork pop, but I will take a drink. I will pour a drink, and we will sip a drink as that bourbon deserves. If somebody was so inclined to provide a $20 donation through Rumble Rant or Venmo, Cash App, or like I said, a gifted sub amount of 5. And that will happen. There will be a drink that occurs. Oh my goodness, what just happened? What on earth did Entropy Nomad just call forth the liquor? Did it happen? Let's see. My goodness gracious. Entropy Nomad, you absolute mad lad, sir. Absolute freaking mad lad. With 5 gifted subs, freaking amazing. Thank you so much for the support, bud. I appreciate the heck out of you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Guys, if you are one of the lucky individuals that was just gifted a sub. Nightwolf, one of the first ones. As we get more people rolling into the stream that do not currently have a gifted sub, they will start raining down upon the new members that pop up in the chat. And you will have access now to the plethora of amazing emotes, guys. It's a damn good time. It's a damn good time. And your name's going to be lit up in that beautiful shade of MAGA red. Absolutely freaking amazing. You don't need an excuse to destroy my liver. Oh my. So, Entropy, which would you prefer? Would you prefer I do a shot of Tullamore Dew? Or would you prefer that I do a nice, little bit of a bourbon ASMR and do that cork pop and pour a stout drink of straight bourbon? Which would you prefer, Entropy Nomad? I'll leave it up to you. I will leave it up to you. Neurodivergent one. Awesome mod in the chat. Good to see you, bud. Thank you so much. Absolutely congrats to everybody who receives that red rash. Yes, the cork pop. You want the ASMR? I got you. I got you. We'll do it. I'm a man of the people. Being as it is a Sunday. I didn't give up bourbon for Lent. I did give up ice cream. Although I was bad the other day and I had a Sonic Blast. Sorry, Christ. The reason we do the Lent thing is just do like just a kind of a, hey, Christ sacrificed for us during Lent. We sacrifice for Christ. Kind of a little bit of that. All right. Enough of that. You guys ready for this delightful, very short and stout bottle of double oaked Woodford Reserve? This stuff, I had some Johnny Walker Red Label last night at the hotel, and I'm not gonna lie, I prefer this so much more. So much more. Ah, look at that! Night Wolf enjoying some Woodford Reserve on the rocks at this very moment. Well, I'm about to. Well, it's not on the rocks. I like to sip mine warm. Here it is. You guys ready? You guys ready? Oh, we're getting close. We're getting close. You ready for it? And it goes. Ooh. That's a good cork pop. It's a damn good cork pop, wasn't it? Do a little bit of a drink here. We'll be sipping on this throughout the show. First thing that we're going to do tonight before we get into the Dozer Den DJ hour, by the way, don't forget to get your music video requests in, and I will be keeping an eye on the chat so that I can get those downloaded to my computer, then uploaded to Rumble Studio, because that's the way we got to do it right now. What's up, Sanglant? Good to see you, bud. Oh, give up bourbon, drink whiskey. Well, I can't do that, but I won't do that. Look at that. Duck Fat gifted a membership. I answer note right there. Look at that. We're going to be sipping on that. What is a skeleton's favorite snack? Ribs! Spare ribs! Cheers, y'all. Ah, it's good stuff. Donut, mind me. Got himself a membership as well. Look at that. Thank Entropy Nomad for that. Look at that. We got the Apu with the juice box. Damn right. Damn right we do. Evening crazies. There was a good pop. That's right. That's what we're here for, guys. The pop. It's a very satisfying pop. Look at that. Thank you so much for the support, guys. Appreciate you. And here's the great thing: even if you're not able to donate monetarily to the Dozer Den, I completely understand. I too am a broke bitch. So, sharing this stream out, commenting in the comment section, liking this stream, liking the channel is also important. And if you were so inclined to get premium, click that red get premium. And as I am part of the Rumble Creator Program for the second month in a row, apparently they felt like I should continue. If you do that, there are a couple options. There's the $9.99 a month, or you could do the I think it's $89 for the year, or $99 for the year. And I don't know if that deal, let's go ahead and do it right now. Let's talk about the first sponsor of this episode of the Dozer Den, Rumble Premium. Guys, check it out. This sponsorship is from Rumble, one that is incredibly important to the survival of the company. Do you want to support a company that supports free speech? Rumble Premium, guys. It's an amazing way to do it. And if you click that red Get Premium button on this stream, that reflects positively on me as being a creator, and I get a little bit of a kickback for that. I'm not exactly sure what that looks like, but it's, I guess, okay. So, when Rumble first started in 2013, that's right, they've been around for a while, guys. They built a platform for the small creator, like myself. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID, but they did. Facebook admitted that they fell to pressure from the Biden and Harris administration. How freaking pathetic, guys. Rumble, they did not. They held the line. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They are attacked in corporate media. They are attacked by governments like France and Russia and Brazil. Although the Brazil, apparently, they yielded. They yielded, guys. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Snooty bastards. Corporate America is fighting to remove free speech while Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers alone, guys. They really don't get much of that. Watching this show and others here on Rumble is the most that they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight and if you have the means, that is very important, guys. Don't ever put yourself out if you don't have it. But if you have the means, one major way that you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble is currently offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO, STUDIO, when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. Click it right over there, get premium. And if you don't have the means, well, you know what? I'm just happy that you're here hanging out in the Dozer Den. Appreciate the heck out of everybody. What's up, Lord Sterling? Doing the groundwork, sharing this stream out. Much appreciated, sir. Absolutely excellent. If you have not checked out Common Censored yet, what are you doing? Streams Monday, Wednesday and Friday now, I think, is the new schedule. If I'm incorrect, please correct me, sir. And he goes from about 6:45 Eastern for about 3 hours or so. The Saturday or the Friday shows go a little bit longer because it's Friday. Why not have a party? Good to see everybody. Send Bill donuts. That's right. Oh my God, we have ourselves the first music video request from Nightwolf. Nightwolf. What do we got? Oh, nice. Is that the Pretty Reckless? Excellent. Absolutely excellent request, Nightwolf. The Pretty Reckless. Fun fact about that lead singer of this band was the little girl in The Grinch with Jim Carrey. Ha! Great stuff. I love it. She got a good voice. She's got a very good voice. And she's she's grown up quite well. I'll say that. I think we're about the same age. I think she actually is she might be a year older than me. No, she might be a couple years younger than me. But we're around the same age, so it's not weird. Yes. Click the follow button. Share it. Cindy Lou Who, that's right. She was Cindy Lou Who. Now she's a little bit different. Hell of a first request. Miss Davis was a 10. Sam Duty, good to see you. All right, let me go ahead and download that to the Cobalt. Excellent song request. I will download it to my computer and then I will upload it to Rumble so that we will have crisp audio quality. From Nightwolf. And I like to put your name attached to it so I don't forget. Oh, that's not Nightwolf, that's Nightwolp. I was looking for an F and I found a P. We'll save it to the computer and then we'll do a little bit of an upload. What's up, Cool Frog? Lovely to see you hanging out here in the Dozer Den. Guys, if you haven't checked out Cool Frog, that's 2 O's, 2 G's, one of the coolest frogs on Rubble Ribbit. Amazing content. Multiple live streams. He is a mad lad when it comes to streaming. He is a juggernaut of the streaming scene. Check him out, Cool Frog. Had a birthday recently. Late happy birthday to you, bud. I think it was last night. If I was not hanging out at the hotel with my family and they were trying to sleep, I would have absolutely hopped on and talked some shit or whatever you guys were doing. Seemed like you were playing some games. So sorry I wasn't able to join, but thanks for the invite. She's from Missouri. Interesting. Very interesting. I didn't know that. Cool stuff. Guys, thedozerden.locals.com, cool community, and I have a Discord. You can see some of the storm content that I put on the Discord there. I have some fishing content as well. I will be doing more fishing stuff this month. I probably will make some of those premium. So I do have to get my tripod back from Little Bro Dozer, but we are going to do that. Let's see. Gossip Girls was a television show. Yes, it was. Let me see. Okay. And Entropy, if you've got a song request, just let me know, man, and I will absolutely move you up to the top of the line. No offense to Nightwolf, but like I said, if you contribute monetarily to this episode, you will definitely get a little bit of a bump. Oh my goodness. Looky there. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Let me go ahead and upload this to the studio. I do have a couple songs in here that are just always going to stay there. Nightwolf's request. We've got the Alex Jones folk song. That'll be there for when I feel that we need it. Because sometimes you need that song, guys. Sometimes when the world gets you down, you need the Alex Jones folk song. Just saying. Just saying. All right, and we'll upload this. Well, that's not where I need to be. Oh, I didn't go through and delete all these. There it is. Boom. Oh, it's going slow. It's going slow. Guys, the internet, we didn't have power for 2 days. It kind of sucked. Lady Dozer took the kids over to the mother-in-law's, and they stayed the night over there for a night because, the kids definitely like electricity. I, as the man of the house, stayed behind, held down the fort, protected the castle from invaders. we're in a pretty decent spot. So we only have a duplex beside us, and we kind of have some shit people that pop in there every now and then, but they usually stay away from us. We stay away from them. It's all good, and it is uploaded to Rumble Studio. Hell yes, that'll be the first one so far during the Dozer Den DJ hour. Sorry to that, yeah. What's up, Sam Duty? And I will keep an eye on Cash App and Venmo just in case anybody does donate over there. So apologies if I do miss you. I am going to try to shout everybody out as donations do come in because I sincerely appreciate anybody who would be crazy enough to throw money at this individual. Don't understand it, but I appreciate the heck out of all your support, whatever way it may be expressed. Coffee started to get a little bit chilly, but it still was delicious. Guys, again, if you have not smashed that like button, give it a good thumping. Have your way. Give it the people's elbow if you must. All right, we're about 40 minutes in. I think we've got a decent enough crew here. Let's go ahead and pull up a couple things because we have a pretty chill stream for the Dozer Den DJ hour. We play some funnies. Here's a quick one, guys. It's a good time. This one, I thought this was pretty funny. Here's a short little clip just to get you ready for the serious stuff. Since it's Sunday, there's a bit of a spiritual conversation between Michael Knowles and the rogue archaeologist. Interesting stuff, though. Let me go ahead and did it share? There we go. Boom. She raises a great point here. It's very, very interesting.
I just came from the dispensary and now I'm walking to my neighbor's to get eggs from her little stand over there. I'm buying eggs on the street and weed in the store. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
What year is it? Well, you gotta buy eggs in the street and weed. You can go into the pharmacy and get that. So hey, it's an interesting time. Very interesting time in 2025, guys. We had real quick commentary from Carlson on the economy. He had Steve, I think it's Secretary Steve Besant, Treasury Scott Besant on, and they were having Scott's a very smart man. Honestly, his intellect makes I pale in comparison to this dude's understanding of economics. I will just admit that outright. Really, just fantastic way that he expresses himself on this. There you go. Oh my goodness, guys, I forgot to get my bag. I will go get it after we start playing the interview between Michael Knowles and the rogue archaeologist. Guys, get yourself some biltong, all right? Some meat from the king of biltong, Anton himself, at www.biltongusa.com. Use promo code DOZER, DOZER, for 10% off of your order. You will not regret buying from this guy. He is an immigrant from South Africa, wonderful human being, solid business, solid family from the looks of it. They were actually hanging out in the chat. Queen of Biltong and King of Biltong were hanging out in the chat the other day. It was pretty damn cool. Guys, Dozer, for 10% off your order, get you some of Anton's meat. Put it in your mouth. Have a good time. It's delicious. Healthy for you. Much better than eating a cookie or some chips. My goodness, why would you want to do that to yourself? Take care of your body. Eat some of the Anton's meat. BiltongUSA.com. They have a wide selection of meats to purchase, and you can gift it out to your friends and family. I have a couple bags I'm probably going to give to my brothers, just so they can get a little taste of that delicious, delicious seasoned meat. It's what beef jerky wishes it could be. I'm just saying, guys, give it a chance. I'm a chunky fellow. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't say that I liked it. Just going to go ahead and throw that out there. I'm picky at times. I may be a little bit chunky, but I am picky. And I'm just saying, it's delicious. Let's check out this clip real quick about the tariff stuff from Tucker Carlson and Scott Besant, Treasury Secretary.
People who are hoping that yesterday's move will lead to a demonstrably brighter future within 4 years. Is it your sincere prediction that within 4 years we'll say, actually, that kind of worked?
I believe that it's going to work.
Amazing hair.
And I know that what
Amazing.
we were doing wasn't working.
Yes.
So I think we have to try this. And I have a high confidence ratio it's going to work. And I have a very high confidence ratio. The good news is we have President Trump's previous term when everyone said none of this was going to work. Oh,
Yeah.
the China tariffs are going to do this. They're going to cause inflation. They didn't. This is going to happen to working class. It's going to be bad for working class Americans. Well, guess what? Working class Americans, the hourly workers did better than supervisory workers. The bottom 50% of households, their net worth increased faster than the top 10% of households. And look, I'm not happy with what's going on in the market today, but the distribution of equities across households, the top 10% of Americans own 88% of equities, 88% of the stock market. The next 40% owns 12% of the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom 50 has debt.
Yep.
They have credit
Bottom
card
50
bills.
right here.
They rent their homes. They have auto loans, and we've got to give them some relief. That I was struck by the statistic from last year.
That's the message right there. Just as a bystander, I'm like, wow, okay.
Exactly. That is, it's quite a statement. The bottom 50%, no attachment to the stock market. None. No attachment at all. We are focused on paying our bills. We are focused. And Entropy Nomad, I got you. I got the BRMC downloaded and then uploaded while that was playing. I'm getting quicker at it, guys. First Amendment rights was gifted a sub by the Entropy Nomad, showering the chat with his love. First Amendment rights, fantastic. Glad to see you, buddy. Appreciate you coming back to the Dozer Den. Glad you're back. And just so you know, we are making up the Saturday stream. We are going to do the Dozer Den DJ hour this stream. Although, first, we've got a thing that we're going to do first. We're going to play a little bit of the interview between Michael Knowles and the rogue archaeologist. Guys, if you haven't smashed that like button yet, what are you waiting for? It wants to be smashed. It desires a smashing. It has a smashing fetish, guys. Or is it smushing? I don't know. I haven't watched, was it My Strange Addiction? What was it on TLC? Or was it Discovery? I don't know. But anyways, guys, that like button, it needs it. It needs you to smash it. Do the thing. Trish One with a request. Getting you. Got it right here. Boom. Oh no! I didn't copy it all. It's a delicate way over here. A smarter way would be to just do it over on the chat that I have pulled up to the right. First request, check this little upcoming lady stepping into the spotlight out of Kentucky. Mary Cutter. Cool. Got an up-and-comer. Got you, Trish. All right. Oh. Devil's Money. Ooh, I think I might have seen this lady. I think, does she have a TikTok? I might have seen her, a video of hers. Here's the lyrics. It was one talking about pharma and stuff like that. Really cool song. I don't know if that's the same one, but this will probably be worth a listen. So, got that one. Let me go ahead and copy that. We got Trisha's request here. There we go. Do the videos. Trish. Mary Cutter. Gotcha. We'll do a little copy, do a little save. And then we'll upload. And we got another one from Sam Duty. Gotcha. Guys, throw them out there if you got them. Smash that former plussy like you mean it. That's right, Donut Mind Me. That is absolutely right. You have to smash the plussy. You could pound the plussy, wreck the plussy, have your way with the plussy. I need to put Bobble Trump back on the stream, although he's going to be a little bit shorter because I got my sipping glass. I got to find something else to set him on. We have a substitute. All right, we have a substitute. I got most of my coffee out of here. We'll do a little bit of wipe here. We'll do a little bit of a wipe. I bet you I can make this work with the Louder with Crowder mug. Yeah, That's what we'll do. Oh, that's glorious. He's even a little bit higher. He's risen in status here on the stream. Bubble Trump hanging out with us. Okay, I gotta upload that one. Let me do that real quick. Thank you so much for your requests. Okay, got that. And upload. There we go. See how quickly. Oh, this one went quick. Nice. Already uploaded. Absolutely fantastic. Guys, Rumble Studio, while it may not be perfect, it's getting better as it goes. So I'll take it. I'll take it. Cheers. It's delightful Woodford Reserve double oaked, guys. Double oaked, not just single. Double. Uh-oh. It said it uploaded really quick, but now it's not wanting to do it. I don't know what the deal is. We can make sure my phone's not on Wi-Fi. That might be the problem. Oh, goodness. Oh, gosh, I forgot locals. Oh. Thanks, Singlant. Appreciate you. Let's check out the dozerden.locals.com. Chat is live. Absolutely freaking great. Oh, kill it after 30 seconds. All right, Singlant, you have donated. You have donated $2 over there so far. Thank you so much. I don't know what is taking this one so long. I might have to cancel. Give me a second here. We'll cancel that. We'll try again here. I don't know what Rumble Studio was doing there. Round 2. Fight. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. All right. We're good? You good, Rumble Studio? You ready for me to upload it? Can we do it? If I have to play it from YouTube by sharing a tab, I do apologize, but Rumble Studio might be trying to have issues with me right now. We'll let that set for a minute. We will let it set. Let me check on the chat. Excuse me. Ah, Nightwolf with another one. And let me see. I had Trish with a second one. Let me get Sam Duties copied and pasted up over here so I don't forget. We got a few on deck, so let me put that there. There's Sam Duties. Oh, that's an hour and 2. CIA spy goes nuclear on Epstein files. Interesting. Thanks for sharing. Not really sure how much of that you're wanting to play or where you're wanting to play, but I will, if you have a relevant portion, just let me know the timestamp and I will do so. Trish, I am not sure why this is not liking your request here, but it won't upload it, so I will just keep it up and play it from the YouTube link. I do apologize in advance for that if it's not working. It has not done that to me so far. So Rumble Studio, what you doing, man? Come on. Come on, man. What are you doing? It's not how you upload. Come on. Let me see. Then we had another one from Trish. Second request. Hopefully that one will actually do what I want it to do. And I will be working on getting those uploaded while we are listening to the Michael Knowles interview with the Rogue Archaeologist. That's a good one there. Make you a believer. Nice. Second one from Trish. And Sanglant, I will get yours copied and pasted here in a moment. Let's see. We got another one from Nightwolf. Gotcha. And then I got to get Sanglance from locals, so give me a brief moment here. And Holy Diver. Nice. Holy Diver. You've been out too long in the midnight streets. I like the Killswitch Engage version of that song. But I'm a bit of a metalhead, so, you know. My entire internet went out the second I got that sub. Oh, damn! Shit. You're welcome, First Amendment rights. That was how impactful that sub was, First Amendment rights. Which song is it? It's the Mary Cutter, Devil's Money. But like I said, if it's not going to work that way, I will get it. I will share it through the tab, and it might just be a little bit off. So it's what I would be watching if you didn't stream tonight. Well, damn. Thanks for hanging out, Sam, dude. Yeah, I appreciate you. That young lady's got some pipes. Solid. All right, so I did that. The Holy Diver, Liliac. Nice. I am looking forward to that one. Absolutely. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start sharing we're going to at least do an hour of this interview. And I will be adding commentary and reacting to it because that is, that's part of it. It's fair use commentary. And if I'm going to be sharing somebody's interview, somebody's content, I want to pop in and provide a little bit of elaboration or expansion on a subject. If something I find particularly interesting, I want to chat with you guys, have a conversation, share with you guys my thoughts on the topics that are discussed. So that one's the lyrics. I can get another link if you want me to. Go for it, Trish. Yeah, throw out another link and let's see if that works. It might just be Rumble Studio might just be being finicky with that one. Could be the case. So if you want to, you can, and I will put it up there, and then I'll just X out of that one and just throw another. If you have another link that you want to throw out there, I will put it up. June 14th. Oh, look at that. Apparently we're getting a family portrait done at the church. Cool. That'll be nice. I have a sody waiting for me. I'm going to have to go get that here in a second. Like as a family band, all brothers and sisters. That's freaking cool. Thanks for sharing, Nightwolf. All right, guys, let me find this link really quick here. I've got it up here somewhere. Oh, dang it. Let's go ahead and give Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary. Gorgeous. A beautiful presentation, just aesthetically, and a beautiful mind. Because she's sharp, guys. She's quick. She's not taking any BS from the lamestream media. Let's give her just a little bit of a shout out here. That's right. Don't forget to smash that thumbs up, guys. Give it all your attention that you can. Share this real quick, and then we'll get into the interview. Because it's pretty epic watching her just take people down. She's a beast.
Let's act like adults here. They are generously offering their time to answer your questions. You don't need to scream at them like a bunch of school children. My advice to that unnamed low-level French politician would be that it's only because of the United States of America that the French are not speaking German right now.
Numbers. How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country illegally?
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are.
Is there any evidence on that he wasn't aware of it?
You're a reporter. You should find out.
Have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have.
I think it's insulting that you are trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made.
That team prayer before is just a moment to be silent and still and ask God for confidence and the ability to articulate my words, knowledge, prayer, protection. And it is a nice moment to reset. It's the last thing I do before I go out there, and then it just gives me the confidence.
There you go. Caroline Leavitt taking him to task. All right, Trish, I got it copied up there, and I will work on moving some things around. Saying that, I've got locals pulled up on my computer now, so I've got your requests over there for the $2. And I forgot to give you a little bit of an applause. I am sorry. Guys, it is episode 88 of the Dozer Den. It's been a wild ride. We're almost at a year, guys. Can we get to 1,000 followers before the year mark? I think it's in like 12 days. So a little under 2 weeks to get to 1,000 followers. Can it happen? Perhaps. Share this. Spread the word. Talk about it at the water cooler. Bill Dozer 74. I actually, guys, when I was up at the hotel, you're not gonna believe it. There was United Sovereign Americans, not Sov Citizens, because I thought it was Sov Citizens at first, but it's absolutely not, and they make that clear in their homepage. They're just for election integrity. They want to hold people accountable. They want to highlight the bullcrap that's going on with elections, and that's what their main thing is. They had a guy there named Joe Hoft, not the Gateway Pundit guy. And that's how I walked up to him. I saw him. I was like, Gateway Pundit guy? And he's like, no, I know him, but yeah, Hoff, last name, same last name, and we got the Grays, and I actually had a really cool conversation while my 7-year-old was very, very bored and crawling around on the floor beside me because that's what she does sometimes. She's a gremlin. Really cool conversation with some very libertarian-minded individuals there. So I really appreciated that. I should have shielded my stream, but I didn't. I thought about it afterwards, but felt like it might be a bit cringe if I did it right there. So, but yeah. Yeah. All right. Ooh, let's see. The French are never going to live World War II down. That's right. Hail Caesar. Indeed. All right. This is related to Jack. No, I don't think he is. Jack Hoft. No, there's Jim and Joel Hoft from the Gateway Pundit. It's related to Jack Hoft. That's a good one. Cheers to that. Guys, if you do not have a Rumble account yet, if you're watching from one of the .wins or from X or from YouTube or from wherever you may be watching, if you're watching somewhere else, run on over to Rumble real quick. Create an account. Takes you 5 minutes. A lady Dozer did it. She's okay. She hasn't had anything bad happen to her yet, except for having to hang out with me all the time. But trust me, you guys won't have to experience that. I'm just here. I'm just here every now and then. Usually Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 9:30 p.m. Central. This is an oddball stream because I felt bad about not doing the Dozer Den DJ hour last night. My laughter sustains you. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. It's not fake. When I chuckle, it's a hearty chuckle, full of sincerity. Oh, she didn't release the full version of the Big Pharma songs. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's okay. It is the same person. Absolutely amazing. Yes, she has a fun. That was just that little teaser clip, and we will. Oh, gosh darn it! You know what? I'll just go over to Rumble, and we'll do it over here, and that way I don't have to pull it up, and it doesn't run away from me. I can take my time. Rumble Studio is weird like that. I click on the chat, and it automatically pops up. So that's fun. It's good for when you're wanting to pull somebody's chat up really quick, though. I'll say that. Yeah. No. Pause. There we go. Yes, that is the same chick. Cool. Yep, I saw that the other day, Trish. She is on point with those lyrics. She's on point. Did you share that? I think you might have shared that. I don't know. But anyways, let me go ahead and find this interview, and we will get into it. Do a bit of a pause and react at times. There it is. It's a 2-hour and 16-minute interview. So what I think is we'll probably do an hour because I do have an 8 a.m. meeting. So we will probably do an hour of this. And then let's see. Since Entropy mentioned Hail Caesar. Oh, what do you got here? Gotcha, Nightwolf. Little AC/DC, Hail Caesar. I got it. It's on deck. And go ahead and close that one out. I'll close the Discord out. Keep those up so we've got plenty of room. All right. We're going to go ahead and get into the interview, and I will have to step away just for a brief moment to say hello to Lady Dozer and grab my sody. And then I'll be right back, and we'll get into it. I'll pop on and pontificate, as it were. Apparently, some lights go out a little bit, so. All right. The demons were listening.
Many of these extraordinary megalithic sites around the world were built in the age before the flood. The ancient Egyptians and the Greeks and the Romans and all the rest of them, they believe that the very same thing occurred.
I don't even know if people are going to believe me when I say this. When you started talking about the aliens and the antimatter, all the lights went off. They have a $4,000 confidence monitor. It like fizzed, like the picture got all crazy.
Maybe somebody's signaling to us to shut up.
demons, aliens, ziggurats, ancient civilizations. Much of what you think you know about archaeology and ancient history could be wrong. I, for one, know nothing about archaeology and ancient history, so I guess I'm not wrong. Well, hopefully I will be right by the end of my interview with Timothy Alberino. Mr. Alberino, thank you for coming on the show, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure.
And thank you for smoking a delicious Mayflower cigar.
And it is delicious.
I thought for this conversation, we needed a cigar.
Mm-hmm. Mandatory.
You wrote a very popular book, Birthright, about ancient civilizations, archaeology. You're an explorer, you're a researcher, you look like Indiana Jones, you've lived in Peru for a decade. You wrote this very popular book about how there are some gaps in scholarly archaeology, ancient history, things that you're not allowed to talk about in the academy, that scholars write off, that you think are worth exploring. It's done very well, and your view is that the Bible is actually a good guide to understanding the ancient past, which I guess distinguishes you from other people who are revisionist on ancient history and archaeology.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's accurate. So I come from a biblical paradigm. That's my worldview. And it's not because I've been indoctrinated into Christianity. It's because I've been entirely convinced that the gospel of Christ is true. So that's my perspective. I believe that the biblical narrative is an accurate account. Now, that doesn't mean I'm a literalist in every detail, but I think that it's the most remarkable book ever compiled for many reasons. And it does happen to be, in my opinion, very accurate and enlightening about the past, even the deep past, the distant past, the antediluvian world. And so I've traveled all around the world and have investigated. I investigate, I guess you could describe it as fringe topics. So I don't have a background in academia. I don't have a doctorate in anything, but I've spent a lot of years in, let's say, Central America, South America, studying megaliths, studying lost civilizations. And really what I would say the moment that convinced me that we're missing large portions of our historic past, the deep past, I'm talking about the antediluvian past, the pre-flood past, is when I stood in front of the megaliths for the first time in Cusco, in the city of Cusco. And especially the megalithic complex of Sacsayhuaman, which is in Cusco. And it is one of the most magnificent stone structures on Earth. The walls are mammoth. They're made of polygonal stones that are fitted together so precisely that you cannot slip a butter knife between the joints. And they're beveled, so they have this pillowed appearance. And
I agree with this guy, definitely. I think we definitely do not know the history. The history we've been told is probably a lie. Yes, on board with this guy. I'm gonna have to put the hat on. Guys, I just ran up the stairs. This might be a tinfoil hat stream. It's happening. We got our protection to ward off the death rays and demonic influence. Extra special tinfoil hat. See, Bobble Trump has one as well. That's what we gotta do. That's what we gotta do, guys. Yes, damn right.
And some of these stones, the foundation stones, weigh in excess of 250 to 300 tons. And they were quarried some 10 to 20 miles away. And it was standing in front of the walls of Sacsayhuaman that really, I mean, because you can read things in books and you can theorize about lost civilizations and ancient technology, but when you stand in front of megalithic walls, there's something so convincing about that in relationship to the idea that we're missing something.
So then
we don't have the whole story.
What distinguishes specifically your view of the ancient past with the popularly held view in the academy? I've never been to Sacsayhuaman. I've never been invited. But if I did go down there, I wouldn't even know how to distinguish what the scholarly crew thinks about it and what maybe the more fringe theorists think about it.
In regard to the megaliths in Peru, there's many megalithic sites in Peru. The academic consensus is that most of these sites, especially the ones around Cusco, also Ollantaytambo, Machu Picchu, were constructed by the Inca. And the Inca were an extraordinary empire. I mean, this was an extraordinary civilization. They were able to do many things that other pre-Columbian cultures could not achieve. In many ways, they were like the Romans of South America. They built amazing roads and aqueducts. And so I have a lot of respect for the Inca civilization, but they did not build the megaliths.
It's because the Inca, while old, aren't that old.
No, they're not that old. So I believe that the Inca discovered these megalithic sites, Machu Picchu, certainly Sacsayhuaman, and they decided to inhabit them and rebuild them because the Inca viewed themselves as the offspring of the gods. They were the children of the sun. And when you talk about the Inca does not describe the totality of the culture, of the civilization. The Inca was a very specific, a very particular bloodline within that civilization. It was the royal bloodline. Only they were the Inca. The Spanish called them the orejones because they had the large discs in their ears. They had the large earlobes.
Like my barista at Starbucks. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And so this culture, within this culture, the Inca culture, you have this royal bloodline.
Gotcha, Nightwolf.
As I said, who considered themselves to be the offspring of the gods. And so when they came upon the megalithic ruins, the remains of what they could only interpret as the works of the gods. I mean, we're talking about massive stones that are, as I said, cut with such precision that they're fitted together without the use of mortar. And archaeologists refer to this style of building, this style of masonry, as Cyclopean masonry. And you find it all over the earth.
Cyclopean, like the Cyclops. Oh, we're going to get deep here. Gets deep and dirty. It's a good one. This is a good interview. I really, this just gets my, like, I've been talking about this for a while, that I think that I think humanity has coming on in cycles, and, God, the set design for this interview was amazing. Whoever decided to make this set like this, or if that's Michael Knowles' house, my God, your house is amazing, sir. I seriously doubt it's just his house. Freaking amazing set design. I'll just go ahead and throw that out there. But really good interview. Just the back and forth between these two is just, you can tell he's actually interested in this, and he lives and breathes this stuff. So really, really cool stuff. Sorry about not pinning the chat, pinning the Rumble stream to the top there, guys. My bad.
Especially as it pertains to megaliths, because obviously Peru isn't the only place on the planet with megaliths. But this architecture, Cyclopean architecture, where they have these massive stones exquisitely cut and dressed and then fit together without the use of mortar, I believe that is the signature of an ancient, advanced civilization that was,
I would concur,
annihilated from the face of the earth in the deep past.
What time are we talking about? How deep is it?
Gotcha.
We're talking 10,000 plus years ago.
Okay. So the scholarly consensus view is that human civilization arose within the last, 5,000 years?
Yeah.
And you're saying, no, there was this to our understanding, human civilization that built all this stuff. So then the question, of course, is who were they and where did they go?
Ancient Earthlings.
And why do you think this? I mean, why couldn't the Inca have done it?
Well, let me address that first. We know that the Inca didn't build the walls of Sacsayhuaman. Now, you won't read this in any history books, and you won't hear archaeologists saying this. But my friend and colleague Anselm P. Rambla, he's a Spanish explorer and researcher, and he actually excavated at the walls of Sacsayhuaman, the walls I was referring to earlier, those magnificent megalithic walls.
Thank you so much.
He got permission from the Ministry of Culture in Peru to conduct an excavation in the site, generally in various areas of Sacsayhuaman. And he dug down to the foundation stones of Sacsayhuaman, to the lower levels. Yeah. And what he discovered at the lower levels were pre-Incan artifacts, and only pre-Incan artifacts.
How do you know? What distinguishes a pre-Incan artifact?
Well, I mean, there's artifacts that archaeologists can identify as Inca, and then artifacts that belong to cultures that preexisted the Inca or that were conquered by the Inca.
So the kind of artifact that you wouldn't have found at a higher level, I guess.
Precisely right. So he's digging deep down into the soil there in front of Sacsayhuaman, and he's finding only pre-Incan artifacts. This is definitive evidence that those walls pre-exist the Inca. They were there before the Inca discovered them. In fact, we talked about Sacsayhuaman also being a megalithic site. Most people don't realize that Machu Picchu is also a megalithic site.
Joe.
And Machu Picchu is extraordinary. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world that I've ever seen. I mean, certainly in terms of archaeological remains, Machu Picchu is phenomenal. Most people don't realize that the foundations of Machu Picchu are megalithic, and they have the same sort of polygonal cyclopean architecture as you see in Cusco. And the Inca, I believe, discovered these ruins, and seeing themselves as the offspring of the gods, they concluded that it was their birthright to inhabit what was once the habitation of the gods and rebuild their monuments. And everywhere you go in Peru, and I would say all around the world, people have made use, obviously, of these magnificent megalithic foundations and have built with inferior techniques on top of them. And this is evident in Machu Picchu. This is certainly evident in Machu Picchu. In fact, Machu Picchu, the Quechua, the real name for Machu Picchu is Ijampu. And what does Ijampu mean? The abode of the gods, the dwelling of the gods.
So if this is so evident in Machu Picchu, why don't any of the people at Harvard agree that this is a megalithic pre-modern notions of ancient history structure?
Because they're worried about their careers. They're worried about the esteem of their colleagues. They're worried about being published in the prestigious magazines and having a future in their field. And they would be ostracized. I mean, if you talk about, let's put it this way. When I was at I've been to Machu Picchu numerous occasions. And there was this particular time, I was actually with my colleague, Anselm P. Rommel at the time, and there was a guide, and he was very, very, very knowledgeable. He was an old guide. He's been a guide there for decades, and the guides are very well trained in the conventional narrative of the Inca and especially of Machu Picchu. And we were quizzing him on certain aspects of the architecture at Machu Picchu. For example, you can look across the courtyard at Machu Picchu and you'll see a wall, a megalithic wall with polygonal stones, which means there's stones that have all different kinds of angles in them. Some of these stones have a dozen angles in them, and they're fit precisely to the other stones around them. And they're anti-seismic, by the way. But then right on top of them, you would have this inferior stonework. And some of that, much of that is archaeological reconstruction, but some of it we know was the Inca did it. They built on top. And I asked him, I said, that wall there, very clearly, the lower levels are superior to the higher levels. You were looking at two different techniques of masonry, of architecture, one superior, one inferior. How do you explain that if the Inca built that? Why would they start off with this superior technique and then gradually the technique becomes inferior? Why would they do that? What's the explanation? What is the conventional explanation? And he thought about it for a moment and he said, because that's the way they like to do it. That was the answer. Because that's the way they like to do it. Exactly. And I said, well, how is that rational? How can you logically deduce this? I mean, honestly, that they did this just because that's the way they like to do it, or they like the way it looked. I said, you're a smart guy. You're well trained in academia, and they are, all of the guides up there at Machu Picchu. I said, there's no way you actually believe that. And he conceded to us, yeah, you're right. That's ludicrous. It really is ludicrous. And so what are we looking at? The megaliths around the world, not just in Peru. We're talking about the ones in Peru here, but they're all over the world. Baalbek, for example, is one of the most magnificent. I mean, you have
Baalbek.
Baalbek is a megalithic site in Lebanon. It's one of the most magnificent megalithic sites on Earth. Huge stones that weigh thousands of tons. And of course, the conventional explanation is that the Romans built it. And indeed, they raised a temple to Jupiter there on that site. But just like the Inca discovered the megaliths and determined that they were going to build on top of them and rebuild the abode of the gods, so I believe the Romans and cultures that predate the Romans did the same thing. Of course, you're going to use the megalithic foundations. See, the megaliths, it's not just exquisite architecture. It's not just exquisite masonry. They're anti-seismic.
Okay.
They're built in such a way that they don't collapse during earthquakes.
Right.
And I'll go back to Cusco here, because Cusco is a perfect example of this. When the Spaniards invaded and conquered the city of Cusco, they began to disassemble the higher levels of Sacsayhuaman because it starts off with large foundational stones, and the stones gradually get smaller as they ascend to the top of the structure. And so they took all of the stones that they could manage and carry away, and they built their cathedrals. And the Spanish were no slouches at building cathedrals. Okay, the Spaniards had amazing architects, and they knew what they were doing. And they built their cathedrals in the city of Cusco on top of the ruins of the Incan temples that they demolished. And they built their cathedrals. And every time there's a major earthquake, the cathedrals fall. But you know what doesn't fall? Those megalithic walls that I believe have been standing there for thousands of years.
Is one explanation as to why the craftsmanship gets shoddier toward the top just that it's harder to build stuff the higher up you go? Is that, I don't know. What do I know? I don't know anything about architecture.
No, if you look at
understandable question.
If you look at some of these walls, you'll notice that there's this exquisite architecture. There's this impressive superior masonry, and then you'll find gaps in that masonry where obviously something happened and they had to replace the original stone, and they replaced it with a totally different inferior technique and inferior stonework. And it's evident. For example, we'll go back to Peru for a minute. You go to this megalithic site called Ollantaytambo. Ollantaytambo is a fascinating site because in Peru, you're going to find two different techniques for megalith building. One of the techniques is the polygonal, what's known as the beveled polygonal, cyclopean walls.
What's up, Sertorius?
But then you're going to find, and this other technique you find in Bolivia as well, it's the interlocking, the interlocking blocks.
Yes.
In this method, they would actually, it was like Legos. They would actually cut out let's say a rectangular shape inside of the block, and then they would fit it on top of a rectangular.
Nightwolf, you and I agree completely on this. I think that humanity, Earthlings, if this planet's 4.5 billion years old, it is silly to think that we are the apex. We are the most advanced it has ever been. I think humanity has come and gone in cycles, a bit of a roller coaster effect. We reach a peak, and then something happens, whether it be man-made or a natural disaster, comet, flood, whatever it may be. It hits, and then we fall off, and we plummet, and we go back to monk. We go back to monkey, primitive cave drawings. That's what I think. I agree with you completely, Nightwolf. And that's kind of what this guy's saying too. I think that's where we're at. All right, I've got a couple more downloaded here. I am working as we listen to the stream here, the interview here, to download as many as I can and get it ready for you guys for the Dozer Den DJ Hour coming up after about another 45 minutes of this interview. And then I think the second hour of this interview, we will leave for a Rumble Premium portion of the show tomorrow, possibly. So guys, be keeping your eyes peeled for that. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday this week. We're going to have 5 streams this week. If I have anything to say about it, Thursday might not happen. I don't know yet. Okay, so I might have been a liar there. But I'll try to make Thursday happen if I can. I will be away from home again, so I do apologize for that. But I have things that I must do. I have previous engagements. I do have a life outside of the internet. Believe it or not, it's true. Stunned me too. Pops up every now and then on you.
Shape protruding from the block below it. It would interlock like a Lego. And in Ollantaytambo, you find both of these techniques together. You find the polygonal and the interlocking. And what's unique about Ollantaytambo is that this megalithic complex was in the process of being built. You can see it. The stones are being dressed, and they're making their way up the side of the mountain where the complex crescendos in this temple structure called the Temple of the Sun at the top, very large stones in excess of probably somewhere around 80 to 100 tons. And you can see the blocks making their way up, and they're being dressed, and they're huge megalithic blocks. And there's even one particular block where it appears as if somebody was cutting into it with like a circular saw. You can see the cut mark right through the block. And it just stopped. It halted.
Yep.
The construction came to an abrupt
so much that we
halt.
don't know that we think we know.
And now the conventional explanation is that the halt was because the Spaniards had arrived, and the Inca were in the process of building another temple. The Spaniards arrived, so they stopped the work, and they had to combat the Spanish. In fact, they fought the only battle the Inca really won against the Spaniards was one right there at Sacsayhuaman, because they were able to flood the valley. It's an amazing story. It really is an incredible story. But they didn't build those walls. I'm absolutely persuaded that the Inca did not build those walls. And furthermore, many of these megaliths around the world, including at Ollantaytambo, are specifically aligned to particular cosmological phenomena.
Mm-hmm.
And you can date the monument with the stars.
Right.
This is called archaeoastronomy. And I have a good friend in Cusco, his name is Andre Sadasme. He's an archaeoastronomer. And he figured out at Ollantaytambo that the dating was based on a solar alignment, and it's very complex. But he dates it to around 10,000 BC. Well, he also did the same thing with the city of Cusco, and that's based on some particular solar phenomenon revolving around the three most important celestial objects for the Andean community, which is the Milky Way, the winter solstice, and the Southern Cross. Those are the three primary celestial markers for the Andean people. And based on those markers, you can reverse the clock with programs such as Stellarium, and you can see if there are any celestial events, if the precession of the equinox and all kinds of different things, if there's a lock, if it can lock in other words.
Trish, you are absolutely fine, hun. Thank you so much. You definitely take care of your family. Family first, real life stuff first. I appreciate you. Oh, you're fine. Prayers to your cousin that's having heart surgery. I hope that pray that the doctors, their hands are steady, their minds are clear, and they are able to help your cousin with whatever heart issues he has, or he or she has. And prayers that everything goes well. So, absolutely. Completely understand that.
You can find a pattern. Right. And he did in the city of Cusco, and the date was 10,000 BC. And I'm using Peru as an example to illustrate a larger point here. It's the same all over the world as it pertains to megaliths.
Okay, so if the construction didn't stop because the Spaniards arrived, as the conventional explanation goes, why did it stop? And who are these people 10,000 years ago?
The construction came to an abrupt halt because the earth was subjected to cataclysm.
Okay.
A massive...
Like a global flood, for instance?
Like a global flood. But it wasn't just a flood. It was a cataclysm, the destructive potential of which we can scarcely imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I believe that to some extent, some of these megaliths were being built in anticipation of cataclysm, like they knew it was coming. And so they were building these massive megalithic edifices in the hope to survive it. And that's my own personal theory.
So how would they have known it was coming?
Well, that's very complex. That's based on the precession of the equinox. It's based on the zodiac. The transition of the aeons is cataclysmic. The ancients knew this. That's the purpose of the zodiac. That's the purpose of many of these megalithic sites and other monuments around the world, because the ancients knew. I will say that the ancients believed, and when we say the ancients, we're talking about the ancient Near Eastern cultures, the Mesopotamians, the ancient Hebrews, the Egyptians, and then you have, of course, the ancient Greeks and the Romans, and then other cultures around the world, like the Inca, like the Maya, in Central and South America. They believed that the earth was subject to cyclic cataclysm.
Yes.
That every so many thousands of years, something happened, and it would precipitate cataclysm on planet Earth. And we're talking about civilization ending cataclysm.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, the Great Flood of biblical fame is one such cataclysm, probably the greatest cataclysm in living memory. And all of these ancient cultures around the world have a ubiquitous testimony of cataclysm. I mean, this is the testimony of our ancestors.
Very good of you.
And it's ubiquitous. In every culture, you can find the mythologies, the legends of the Great Flood and of other kinds of cataclysms that annihilated the population of the earth, and there was only a handful of survivors. And yet, archaeologists and historians and the conventional narrative of history totally disregards the testimony of our ancestors. Why are we doing that? I mean, if it was just one culture or two cultures, that's just something that's in the Bible.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people think that the Great Flood is just in the Bible. That couldn't be further from the truth.
Right.
In
It is
many
everywhere.
religions.
I mean, there are hundreds of flood myths around the world
Yep.
that correspond to the same.
But they would say that the kind of secularist,
entropy.
modern flatterers of our own time would say, well, the flood myths recur in every civilization ever because it speaks to something within human nature. So it might not have anything to do with a literal historical event, and it almost certainly does not. But there's just something about our nature that makes us imagine these flood
Absolutely,
myths.
Sam Duty. I agree.
I don't think I'm being unfair to them. I think that's actually their point of view.
That's willful ignorance. That's what that is. They know that that's not true.
You give them more credit than I do. I think they're not that smart.
Well, I've talked to, there's the academic who's speaking
ex cathedra.
Yeah, that's right. And then there's the academic who's talking to you, smoking a cigar, having a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Okay, they have their public face, and then they have their private opinions.
Yes, that's right.
And many of these guys privately will admit many things, many interesting things. I've talked to academics and archaeologists and historians, and privately they'll admit, yeah, there probably was a cataclysm. Yeah, that's not hard to see. And more, they'll admit, many of these guys privately, that giants existed.
Oh.
So not only we have the cataclysm confirmed in the Bible, we also the existence of giants. What are designated as the Nephilim in Genesis 6 and elsewhere in the Old Testament.
So are the giants the ones who built the big megaliths and then stopped cutting at the moment of the cataclysm?
I don't know. See, I think that's a possibility, that some of these edifices perhaps could have been built by giants, but certainly not all of them, simply because of the proportions. There's people out there who are in my community who will say all the megaliths were built by giants. Well, that can't be true, because if you walk through some of the megaliths, they have doorways, and the doorways are
short,
maybe a foot higher than my head, and it's the original doorway. And nobody's going to build a house that they have to crouch down and get into, right? Nobody's going to do that. So if one of these sites was built by giants for giants, then you would expect to see the proportions, right? You would expect to see very large doorways, very large corridors, very large stairwells, and you do at some of them. I'll go back to Sacsayhuaman in Peru. Sacsayhuaman, the doorways are massive. The steps are spread apart so that, let's say they were built like we would build steps, so that's the normal straw.
One of the things that people within an esoteric type of discussion fall prey to is the all in one corner or all in the other corner thing. And I think you have to be cognizant of the fact that things have nuance. Nuance has to be considered when you talk about these discussions, because we don't know. We can speculate and we can hypothesize all we want, but unless we were actually there, we don't know for sure what the hell happened. We have speculation and we have some historical documentation to an extent, but after thousands and thousands and thousands of years, nature has a way of removing things from the record. And I think unless some have gone somewhere else or recessed inside the earth or whatever it may be, we're not going to know until they decide to make themselves known to us in a serious way. Ooh, solid. Night Wolf putting some stuff out there. Cool stuff, dude. I will pull that up. Nice. I've almost got all the ones that have been requested. We've got, gosh darn, quite a few. Let me see. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 already uploaded into Studio. So that is probably going to be all that we can do. Well, nah, let me get these. So no more requests right now. We're at about we've got 8, 9, 10. We've got 10 on deck, and that's usually takes us about an hour to get through. Like I said, I do have an 8 a.m. meeting, so I can't stay and hang out as long as I want to tonight, guys. I hate that, but I did feel dirty. I didn't want to do you guys dirty. I can't do the Dozer Den dirty, y'all. I had to give you the Dozer Den DJ hour. I felt bad. So, look at that neurodivergent one. Yes, you got one of those 5 gifted subs. They're slowly making their way. I don't know why they're not going as quickly as they should be, but you got yourself a gifted sub. Check you out. Absolutely amazing. Red Rash that lovely MAGA red rash. It's excellent. It's all about the tariffs. So many people are freaking the hell out about that. I think it's just give it time. Look past your nose. Look 7, 8. So many countries are already coming to the table to negotiate. Taiwan said 0. They'll take away the tariffs completely. That's excellent. That's excellent. Gosh, I think it's going to be a good thing, guys. I do. I'm positive. I don't like what's happening in Iran, though. It looks like we might be going to war with Iran, and I did not vote for that. I didn't vote for Bad Trump. Bad Trump. No, you stupid. Don't listen to Lindsay Sassy Pants, Graham. Oh. No war. Oh, you already had one. Well, I don't know why it gifted another one to you. Maybe it tacked it on top. I don't know. it'll backlog to the next one. Whenever that one runs out, I guess. I'm confused. But you're in locals. Rumble works in mysterious ways, okay? We'll leave it at that. All right, let me pull that one up real quick. I don't know what's going on. Israel, Taiwan, and Vietnam have already gotten it down. That's right, double rash. You got a double dose. Enjoy it. Scratch as needed. That patriotic rash. It's a good thing. We like the rumble rash. It is lovely when that chat turns red, guys. It is. Oh, you got yourself a backyard fire jam. Heck yeah, from 2015. Lord knows she's going to cause you trouble. Ooh, sounds like that's about a woman. Thanks for sharing. I will be playing that here in a little bit there. Night Wolf. All right, back to the interview. This is just fantastic conversation, fantastic discussion. I watched Ancient Aliens when I was younger, and I haven't ever listened to this guy, but you guys have heard me talking, and I came to this I came to it organically. Yeah, I've listened to some people and stuff, but I've been talking for a while about this, and I've had this thought for a while. When you look at the stuff, the architecture and stuff, the Turkey mounds, guys. I didn't know anything about this, but Turkey has mounds that were flooded purposefully. They flooded and took out these sites where they found graves and stuff like that, and structures, and it's far too convenient for them to have you have an amazing discovery and then, okay, we're going to flood it and put a dam up. Well, that seems like you might be hiding something. Sorry about the tinfoil hat sound there, but come on. That's crazy. All right. Let's get back to the expert.
Stride of our stature. Yeah. Well, if these stairs were built proportional to the stride of the builders, these are very tall guys. We're talking 9-10 feet tall. So,
but if I go to great cathedrals or even a great symphony hall or something, sometimes they'll have very large doors.
That's a good point. That's true.
So could it just be that?
It could very well just be that. I'm not saying that megaliths were built by giants. It's possible. I don't know who built the megaliths. I don't know who built them. Whoever built them, though, the conventional explanations are inadequate to account for the phenomenon.
So if they were so technologically advanced that we can't even understand how they did what they did, where did the technology go? Who were they? Were they some smarter race of creature? Were they just human beings who figured things out and then generational knowledge was lost? How did it happen?
The knowledge was lost, and the ancients knew it. The ancient Egyptians knew it. The ancient Mesopotamians knew it. They knew it. They knew that the...
to whoever requested the explicit fuck your feelings, I'm going to have to play that through the YouTube link. The Cobalt gets weird with some links sometimes, but that one doesn't look like it's going to be one that will cause issues with the sound. If it's a loud one, if it's got a lot of bass, it tends to it tends to squash the sound a little bit. So I don't think we're going to have an issue with the fuck your feelings song, as it looks like it's just kind of a lady strumming on a guitar and singing along. So that we will have to play that through the tab. So just giving you a heads up, if there are audio issues, I do apologize. I'm going to do everything I can to make it as great as possible. But Cobalt for some reason won't download when it has explicit filter. So, but yeah, we'll make it work though. Sorry about that. Just felt like giving an explanation.
The civilizations that had pre-existed them, specifically the civilizations from before the Great Cataclysm, from before the flood, were superior to their own. They acknowledged them as such. And this is what I'm trying to illustrate, is all over the world you have the fingerprints in the megaliths, you have the fingerprints of an advanced lost civilization, and it's ubiquitous. Cyclopean architecture is ubiquitous all over the earth. It's not that the Inca over here developed their,
Thanks for the red pill,
megalith
guys,
building
over there on
technique, and the
pill.net.
guys who built Baalbek developed a different one. No, it's the same. It's the same Cyclopean architecture. They're working with the same knowledge.
You've used the word multiple times. Forgive my ignorance. Cyclopean,
cool.
like the Cyclops?
Like the Cyclops.
So
But
was it a
this is an
race of Cyclops?
This is an archaeological term, and interestingly enough, the Cyclopes were the offspring of the gods in Greek mythology. They were demigods. And so the Greeks attributed the megalithic constructions that they saw strewn around the land, but in a state of ruination, they attributed those constructions to the Cyclopes, to the offspring of the gods, because the Cyclops in Greek mythology was the master builder. It was the Cyclops, for example, who forged the thunderbolts of Zeus. I mean, these were the master builders. And I think, that's a myth. I'm not saying that the walls were built by actual Cyclopes, but I think
You're just saying, you're using an archaeological term.
It's an archaeological term.
You're using it in a literal way, and in a way that the ancients might have used it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So
But the ancients that we think of as the ancients.
If you ask the ancients, okay, I keep going back to Peru because I lived there for 10 years and I have so much experience there. But if you ask a Quechua person, and the Quechuan people are the native people who live in the Andes. If you ask a Quechua person, one who hasn't been modernized, one who still keeps the old ways and the old traditions, who built these walls?
Yeah.
Sacsayhuaman. Who built those walls? You know what they'll tell you? An ancient race of giants who existed in the world before a flood. That's what they'll tell you. And you'll find the same answer all around the world when you talk to the people and when you inform yourselves of the traditions of the people who live there. And that doesn't mean that all the traditions of these cultures are true. No, there's a lot of mythology. But mythology is designed to convey scientific information.
Yes, it reminds me of one of my absolute favorite books by Owen Barfield, one of the Inklings, actually the Inkling who probably was most responsible for converting C.S. Lewis to Christianity. Owen Barfield, in Poetic Diction, says that we have this modern view that language goes from being prosaic and literal to being figurative and poetic. That's how we but actually it's the opposite. That early primordial language is poetic. And the first example he uses is pneuma, the spirit or the breath, and that actually all those meanings are just collapsed into this one word, pneuma. And it has poetic meaning, it has spiritual reality, it has literal reality. And as language develops and people become more self-conscious, I suppose, the language loses its poetry and becomes more prosaic. And he said, that's lost. It's not that we're going to get back to that. He said, but the echo of that, the last kind of whisper that we have of it, are the myths. That the myths are this kind of, which is not to say that one takes the myths literally. It's just that is the way to convey an early kind of melding of meaning and literal reality.
I agree with that, but I would say it's even more than that. I would say that the myths were crafted by the adepts of the mystery schools, and that these were very learned men, and that they understood things about the universe and about the earth, things that we would equate to modern science, and that they encrypted that knowledge in the myth, so that the myth is like much like prophetic content from the Bible.
Yeah,
it's like an encrypted folder. So if I'm going to send you a folder with information that I want to conceal, that requires decryption for you to view, I'm going to send you a zipped folder.
Yeah.
And you're going to take that zipped folder onto your computer, and you have to decrypt that folder. You have to unzip it in order to extract the contents.
Unzip.
So a myth is like the folder. A myth is that folder with its title, and you kind of have an idea of what it's about. And for the lay people, for who the mystery school adepts would describe as the profane.
Yeah, yeah.
Who the occult would describe as the profane.
The hoi polloi.
Yeah. They're not the initiated, like, they're initiated, we're profane. That's how they would see us. We think of these stories, these myths and legends in a different way than they think of them. They know how to decrypt the myths and extract the knowledge.
Well, this would be a divergence probably between your view and the Inklings.
Yeah.
I think especially of Tolkien, author of Lord of the Rings, who said, he didn't really like allegory. There's a difference between an allegory. He hated allegory.
Yeah.
Because allegory is like Pilgrim's Progress, just big walking symbols.
Like the Chronicles of Narnia.
The Chronicle, right, yeah. And Lewis is probably less talented at his fiction than Tolkien was. Tolkien created myth, though. And so, I guess, not to speak for Tolkien, one of the great writers of the 20th century, but the Tolkien view of myth, and maybe the Inkling view of myth, is that it's not that it's hidden knowledge exactly. It's just it is conveying in the best possible way knowledge that is not really susceptible to prosaic literal speech. Whereas there are also other schools. I'm thinking of in the 20th century a writer like Leo Strauss or other people who write in an esoteric or even Gnostic tradition who say, no, this is about encryption. This is persecution in the art of writing. At all times, the philosophers, the sages, are under attack by the unwashed and the tyrants and the barbarians. And so we need to keep secret from these unwashed masses, these ancient truths that will pass on down the generation. That's your view.
That I believe that's absolutely true. And it's not just my view. One Isaac Newton also believed that.
Newton was, because we think of Newton as a natural scientist, but he spent a lot of time, especially in the later part of his career, in alchemy. He was an alchemist. And in
a successful alchemist,
and,
by the way.
I knew he was into alchemy. I didn't know he was successful.
And I don't know all the details. And every time I try and recount this, I get the details wrong. But let's just say, generally speaking, he was into alchemy. And he believed, as did some of his predecessors, that the myths encapsulated real scientific information, alchemaic recipes from which you could extract different kinds of elements.
Yeah.
And he performed some of these. He read the recipes, so to speak, from the myths, in a couple of these myths, and he was successful in extracting the element that was theorized that you would get if you did that with the myth, if you read the recipe correct. But myths also encapsulate, more than anything else, astronomical information. Check it out when you get a chance. And that, there's no question about that. I mean, you look at the ancient world and you see...
Really quick, want to say thank you to everybody who has taken time out of their day, evening, afternoon, morning, night, whatever time it may be, wherever you may be. Thank you so much for taking time out of your life to hang out here in the Dozer Den and watch this show. I appreciate the heck out of you. Hermeneutics, Hermes the delivery god, plus studying how the message is delivered. Interesting, Chopside TMC. One of our subs over there on pill.net. Thank you so much for the support. Appreciate you all for sure. Cool deal. This stuff is like fascinating. This gets my intellectual juices flowing.
See, for example, you look at ancient Egypt and you see all kinds of composite beings like the Sphinx.
Right.
The Sphinx is a great example. And you have the Sphinx, which I believe originally, the Sphinx was the head of a woman in the body of a lion.
Yeah.
And I have to give credit to the late David Flynn for much of this. I read a book, the most consequential book I've ever read in my life. It's called Cydonia, The Secret Chronicles of Mars, by the late David Flynn. He passed away in 2012.
We'll make it work, Nightwolf. Don't worry.
But the Sphinx is actually that composite being, the head of the woman in the body of the lion. Today it's the head of a man, because it's not proportional. The head is small. It appears to have been recarved. I think originally it was the head of a woman, because I believe what the Sphinx is marking is the exact period in time when the cataclysm of the flood occurred. And that happened between the transition of, and we're talking about the zodiac here, because this is how the ancients calculated time. It was the great mill in the sky. It was the celestial timepiece. Zodiac, ubiquitous in many different cultures around the world, same figures.
What's up, you wrong?
And that transition from the age of Virgo to the age of Leo, when the cataclysm, I'm talking about the cataclysm as described in the Bible, occurred. It ensued during that transitional period between Virgo and Leo. And
Let me see real quick. You Wrong says there's growing evidence that the Egyptians didn't make many of the items found, but from an earlier culture, the Egyptians built over. Yes, I agree. And I'm gonna take the foil head off. My head's getting a little bit hot, getting a little bit sweaty. Could be the coffee, the caffeine. Could be a little bit of the coffee and the whiskey, the bourbon. Excuse me, mixing, making me get a little bit of a sweat going on, guys. Spicy topics. You're in the Dozer den. Yeah, I think you wrong, and you wrong. You may be right. What's up, the crazy duck lady? Quack. Good to see you. You actually like that second version better. Okay, well, I will try to. I'll share share it from the Facebook then, and maybe it'll sound a little bit better than sharing from the YouTube. So we'll see. Got the crazy duck lady and duck fat. I don't think there's any relation, but also ducks. All right, back to this. This is
And what is this? What is the zodiacal sign for Virgo? The glyph is a woman.
Zodiacal, is that a word?
And what's the glyph for Leo? A lion. So you have the head of a woman and the body of a lion. It's a time marker.
Right.
So I believe that, and there's other astronomical phenomena that solidifies this idea that the Sphinx is a time marker.
Solidify it.
But it's marking the age in which it was built, but it's also marking
Night Wolf. I had a whole Saturday stream a couple Saturdays ago. The first topic was for the Dozer and DJ Hour was about the discovery under the pyramids, and if they can confirm that, holy crap, they have to burn the history books when it comes to ancient Egyptian history. Sully coming in hot. What name you going with? Real Hard Truths. Guys, check out Sully. Good to see you. Fantastic individual. Great content. Real Hard Truths and the Gun Club. Check out his content here on Rumble. You will not be disappointed. He is worth your viewership. Check him out, guys. Working on my taxes. Oh, I got those done as soon as I could. And I was glad that technically I did. With all the deductions, I was able to actually make out pretty well from the door dashing. I got those done as early as I could because not gonna lie, being white trash rich is definitely helpful around this time of year. I gotta pay my property taxes yet. Oh, I hate property taxes. Nah, man, it's all legit, dude. All legit. I don't get to catch your dang show when I want to, though. I hate that. I try to pop in when I can. But hope you guys aren't experiencing any crazy flooding down your way, man. I know we've had a lot here in this area, and these storms have been insane. So I hope you guys aren't getting hit too hard down your way.
Occurrence of the cataclysm.
So when would that have been? Is that at the historically, academically accepted time, or is that some earlier time? When do you peg
It would be
the
it is a historical time that academics do acknowledge, are increasingly acknowledging that was a time of potential cataclysm on Earth. They call that the Younger Dryas period, the end of the last ice age. It's not it's not a time frame that most Christians are accustomed to thinking about in regard to the flood, because it's somewhere around 10,500 BC.
My opinion on the time frames, guys, because when people take things, I think there's a bit of a translation issue, and I think it's also when you talk about God providing his message to humans, his 7 days could be days to him, but to us would be 7 eons or 7 millennia. I think the days. I think when you break down the time frames, I think it's from an omniscient celestial being trying to express to a human mind the days and all the time frames and things like that. I think there was probably a little bit of stuff that, there was something lost in translation with that. I think that's my perspective. But yeah.
And why?
Somewhere in the neighborhood.
And so you're saying Christians.
Really quick, since I brought the bag up here, guys, if you have not checked out Biltong USA, check it out. Look at this lovely bag of meat. You see the seasonings right there? Oh my gosh. Guys, Biltong USA, www.biltongusa.com. Use promo code DOZER, DOZER, for 10% off of your order, guys. If you want a meal replacement, if you want a healthy snack, one that's not going to make you feel guilty or cheat on your diet, one that is going to stimulate your muscles, stimulate your gut in a healthy way, and stimulate your mind. Check out this amazing biltong. It is what beef jerky wishes it could be. Guys, it is gluten, MSG, and soya free. No added sugar, excellent source of protein, good source of iron, B vitamins, creatine. Creatine's good for you guys. Check it out. Do a little research. Magnesium, potassium, and zinc. This stuff, guys, legit, is absolutely fantastic. I love it. Show some support. Check out an immigrant business. He's from South Africa. Check it out. Let's get some likes on that. Let's get some likes, guys. Are there only 24 likes? We could do better than that. If you have not yet, smash that like button. Go ahead and give it a good thumping. Do not follow the day-age philosophy. What breaks that for me is our current dating methods are so flawed time and again. Yep, our timing, carbon dating is flawed as hell. I think, what is it, argon? I think argon's a more accurate, some of the noble gases. I think it's argon is one of the ones that they use to date, and apparently it's more accurate. Carbon dating can be fooled, so I definitely struggle to think that it's just, yeah, the carbon dating's off, but hell yeah. Moses was 600 years old when he started building the ark. That's what they say. I don't know. Oh, damn. Rivers are backing up in West Virginia and can't carry the water. Rain stopped, but we have back flooding now. Yep, that's kind of where we're at here in southeast Missouri, too. We still have a flood warning until 10 a.m. tomorrow, I think, in some of the lower areas. And my brother is close to a dang stream, and it's he put his catfishing poles out. Bro Dozer, the one that was with me on the fishing stream, he got his poles out. Hopefully, he gets some good ones. But all right, guys, seriously, check out BiltongUSA.com. Fantastic snack, good for you, healthy food, and use promo code Dozer to save 10% off. Show them that, you know what, it's worth having promo code Dozer on that website, guys. It's a good idea. Back to the interview. Then we'll get some songs in. SC is okay. North Carolina still dealing with a lot of... Oh, damn, man. Damn, a lot of fire. That's right, because the wildfires, too. Damn. I hate to say sign of the times, but I don't know. I don't know, y'all. Perhaps. That's what it says in Revelation.
To take a young Earth creation view, don't like that? Okay.
I'm not a young Earth creationist.
Yeah, I'm a Catholic. We're not too hardcore about any of those particular things, you know.
I believe that the Great Flood of biblical fame happened sometime in the neighborhood. When I say in the neighborhood, give or take 1,000 years, sometime in the neighborhood of 10,000 BC.
Yeah, it's funny because I do know some of our Protestant friends and viewers are very particular about the Earth is exactly this old, and I'm open to the possibility, but also the tradition going back to the ancients, our ancients, not the super ancients who were earlier. Doesn't insist upon a literal historical reading of the book of Genesis. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Certainly not. And what's interesting is we talked in the beginning about how all of this conversation...
Chops ITMC says on pill.net says earlier today all the floodgates on an Ohio River dam accidentally opened. Oh, I need to get my tinfoil hat back out.
For me is framed within the biblical narrative, not because it has to be, but because it simply is. You don't have to read this into the narrative. It is already incorporated into the narrative. What do I mean by that? Well, this period of time, the antediluvian world was considered, again, almost universally by the primary ancient cultures around the world as the golden age. Of course, this is a term that comes from the Greeks, and they all have their own terms for it. For example, the ancient Egyptians referred to it as Zep Tepi, the first time. It's the same thing. It's the same idea. So what is the golden age? What is...
Sloppy Lou is an archaeologist, I believe. First Moses took the ark from the pyramid. Noah supposedly built the ark. So the ark, it's like the Ark of the Covenant? The reason the supercapacitor ark was called an ark is because it arced. That's the thought. That is one of the hypotheses out there, Sloppy Lou. Very interesting stuff. Amosis. Interesting. It's really, really cool. And people sometimes when people get educated on this stuff, it challenges their faith. If anything, through college and Mythic Dimensions of Literature is one of my favorite classes in college. Absolutely loved the hell out of it. Going through the old myths, right? And looking at how many lined up almost verbatim. Like there's flavors and different dialects and stuff like that. But looking at how they all lined up, it's like there's got to be something to it. There's got to be. And that just bolstered my faith in God, you know.
This is the first time. Yeah. This is the time when the gods descended from heaven and co-inhabited the earth with mankind. And furthermore, copulated with human women.
Ooh.
And progenerated hybrid offspring.
So I'm thinking now, we were just talking about the book of Genesis 6.
Genesis 6.
A confusing passage where the church fathers are somewhat divided on it. You know, one explanation of Genesis 6, the sons of God looked on the daughters of men and found them to be beautiful and went and did the thing that men and women do. That one reading of that is it's demons or something. Angels or demons mating with human beings.
Yeah.
Now, one issue with that, of course, is that to make a human being in the ordinary course of things, you need two people that have bodies, not an incorporeal being and a corporeal being. However, this is, I think, Justin Martyr in the Second Apology says that it's angels and humans.
That's right.
Though there is some
Tertullian,
yeah, and really a number of church fathers, early Christian
Origen,
fathers. Yeah. Now, but there is some disagreement. The one view is the Sethite view, that the sons of God refer to the descendants of Seth, the daughters of man refer to the descendants of Cain, and then if you were to take an even more metaphorical and symbolic view, it's this notion that virtuous men are seduced by not so virtuous women, which is an anthropological fact of history. But your view is...
Oh, you've covered the bases there. So I would say the biblical view, and the only one that makes logical sense, is that the sons of God in Genesis 6 are an angelic faction. These are angels. These are not men. The sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were comely, and they decided to take wives from among the daughters of men, and they copulated with them, and the production of their union was giants, the Nephilim. See, that story that's found in Genesis 6, the writer of Genesis, when he's writing about the sons of God and this affair, and it's just a little snippet. He does not elaborate. He doesn't enlarge on this strange digression in the Genesis narrative. He just mentions this bizarre thing.
You know, I've started to read the Bible since I was a kid. I want to read the whole Bible, but I wouldn't finish it often. So I would start it again eventually. I'd say, okay, I'm going to start it again. So I've read the book of Genesis like 1 billion times or something. And, you know, every time you get to that, you say, wait, what? Hold on.
Exactly.
What was that part about? Hold on.
That's right. Back up. We need an elaboration on that. Well, the thing is that I'm totally persuaded that the writer of Genesis, as he's writing about the sons of God, this bizarre affair, he's not elaborating on it because the story is already well known.
And that's a fine.
He's just assuming he's assuming that the audience already knows what he's talking about because this was one of the most monumental events that's ever happened.
Even you see this in the New Testament when specific people who were either alive at the time of the writing or who had been alive within living memory. They'll say, yeah, you know, so-and-so, the daughter of so-and-so or the son of so-and-so, yeah, he saw this happen. And here's just a little bit, you know, anyway, we all know, right? You all know Johnny, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so you're saying that this is happening in the book of Genesis. Like, yeah, of course, we all know
that the writer of Genesis is assuming that his audience is conversant with the larger narrative that expands on that, on the mention of the sons of God, on the writer of Genesis allusion to that story. The audience already knew the whole story, so he didn't have to repeat it. There was no need to go back into all the details.
Now, two questions then. One, how does, at least the traditional Christian understanding of what an angel is, which I'm persuaded by, is that an angel is incorporeal. And one can go further. You know, St. Thomas Aquinas describes angels as being, in a way, unique species that are... we have choirs of angels, we have different hierarchy of angels, but they don't They don't communicate by speaking, for instance, because
Which class of angel would be the one that's got like all the eyes and like the 6 different wings or something like that? Like that's a very interesting. I've seen some like renditions. I guess is that what the word I'm looking for? Of how the Bible describes angels, and like it's very interesting. It's something that it's almost like man can't really comprehend it if that makes any sense. But angel is a messenger. Period. Okay. I think it depends on the class of the angel. But I mean, either way, I guess even regardless of class, they're still sending a message, aren't they? Seraphim? I am not 100% sure. They might get into that if I would just shut up and let them talk.
they don't have vocal cords and mouths. Now, angels do interact with human beings in mystical and interesting ways, but angels in themselves don't have bodies. Human beings do have bodies and rational souls. So we have intellect and we have flesh and we have will. And then there are the lower animals who have bodies and they have instinct and they have appetite, but they don't have intellect and will. So we're kind of this middle ground. We've got the reason, the intellect and the will, albeit greatly degraded, of an angel, but we got the body of an animal, and we're kind of this meeting point. So how does an incorporeal being create a child with a corporeal being, or do you have a different view of angels?
I think we need to back up a little
Seraphim.
bit, because
Yep, entropy, you got
we
it.
have to deal with what I call the first cause. So let's assume for a moment that Genesis 6 is angels, and they're looking down at the daughters of men, and they're lusting after them.
Yeah.
They're desiring to take them as wives and to copulate with them, to have intercourse with them.
Yeah.
But okay, if they don't have physical bodies, how do they? Oh, there's so many questions that we're probably never going to have the answers to. But very interesting stuff.
So what's the first cause here? Lust.
Yeah.
In fact, when I was talking about the elaboration of that story, why the writer of Genesis didn't bother to elaborate on it, is because it was well known to the ancient Hebrews.
Yeah.
In the Book of Enoch, which was found among the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Book of Enoch is actually quoted verbatim in the New Testament, in the Book of Jude, verbatim.
Right. So it's considered an apocryphal book or non-canonical book. It's not included in any canon of the Bible that we're familiar with. Certainly not in the history of the church, making ecumenical council formal decrees.
That's from what I've.
It has been around,
except for in Ethiopia.
Ethiopia.
In Ethiopia, both the Beta Israel Jews, the ancient Jewish community, and the Tawahedo Orthodox.
Ethiopia, isn't that where the Ark is rumored to be as well? The Ark of the Covenant.
Christians long ago incorporated and preserved the Book of Enoch in their canon.
And as you say, there are references, it would seem, in the New Testament. So
many.
What is? I didn't know
there are allusions. There are many allusions to the Book of Enoch. For example, when Jesus says, "In my Father's house are many mansions." Well, where's that come from? The Book of Enoch.
The Book of Enoch.
Nowhere to be found.
I don't know. I've never read the Book of Enoch.
There are many allusions, but then, as I said, in Jude, it's verbatim. And Jude says that Enoch, the seventh from Adam, prophesied, saying, and then copy from First Enoch, paste into his.
There was more than one ark, huh? Interesting, Sluppy Lou. I had never heard that. Interesting. Very cool. Do what I want you to do, Mouse.
His epistle. So they were conversant. The early church, the church fathers, the disciples of Christ, Christ himself, and all of the writers of the Bible, all of them were conversant with the Book of Enoch. There's no question. In fact, I believe that if you were living in first century Jerusalem, before it was destroyed by the Romans, and if you were to walk into the temple during the time of Christ, into the synagogue, I think you would find in the scriptorium, where all of the sacred scrolls are kept, you would find a manuscript that was representative of what today we call First Enoch, Ethiopic Enoch.
I would even say, as someone who is totally innocent of the Book of Enoch, I've never read it. I have no strong opinions of whether it was some huge mistake not to include it in the canon. I don't think there are mistakes in the canon.
And I'm not arguing that it was, by the way.
Exactly. My view is, I think that the Proto-Evangelium of James, for instance, is an edifying work to read and can inform us. It's useful. Maybe it's not canon, but it's useful. And so that seems to be kind of the view that you're taking.
Well, I will say this, and that is my view, but I will say this, I'll add. that in the book of Enoch, see, the book of Enoch, first Enoch, is very complex. And we're going to get back to what I called the first cause in a minute with Enoch. But the book of Enoch is very complex. First Enoch, there are 3 different books of Enoch. Only one of them, portions of it, were written before Christ. That's the one I'm interested in, first Enoch. There's second Enoch, which is called the Slavonic Enoch, and third Enoch, which is called the Hebrew Enoch. First Enoch is known as the Ethiopian Enoch because the Ethiopians preserved it. First Enoch, the oldest portions of First Enoch, namely the Book of the Watchers and the Book of Parables, were most certainly written before Christ. Why is this important? Because some of the most extraordinary, astounding, Christological prophecies pertaining to the Son of Man, which is the title that Jesus used most often when speaking of himself, are in the parables in First Enoch. I mean, absolutely stunningly accurate prophecies pertaining to Jesus of Nazareth, written before Christ.
Is there any dispute over the dating of the first book of Enoch?
Most scholars will date, in fact, almost universally, scholars date the earliest portions of Enoch to sometime around 300 BC. Now, there are it's a complicated document because it's a compilation of text written by various authors. I'm most interested in the first 2 sections of First Enoch, which are the Book of the Watchers and the Parables, precisely because they're dated to before the birth of Christ. And my whole point in bringing up Enoch was you have that snippet in Genesis.
Yeah.
Well, that story is elaborated in the Book of Enoch. In fact, that's where the story comes from, is the Book of Enoch. That little reference in Genesis, if you want to know the full story of what the author is alluding to, you read First Enoch, specifically the Book of the Watchers, the first section. And it tells you this extraordinary narrative. I mean, it's what I call the Enochian tale. And about the sons of God, which are designated as watchers.
The more I learn, the more I realize the consensus is bullshit. And that's the way science is supposed to work. You're supposed to be able to challenge research and challenge the information. When new information is provided, I would say the sign of a high IQ, the sign of a mature individual, is to be able to take in new information and adjust as you move through the information battleground that we find ourselves a part of. Fascinating stuff. Very fascinating. Go down. There you go.
In First Enoch that they're looking down, they're seeing the daughters of men, and it's basically almost copy paste into Genesis, the Genesis 6 reference. And intriguingly enough, in R.H. Charles' translation, it's the same verses, Genesis 6, 1 through whatever it is, 4, I think. The sons of God. But in Book of Enoch,
I am the science. Rand Paul, Senator Paul, you do not know what you're talking about. I am the science. Don't question me. I'm a Keebler elf.
Enoch, it's the angels. And by the way, that's the way the Septuagint renders it as well. Genesis 6. The angels are looking down at the daughters of men, that they're fair, that they're beautiful, and they lust. Okay, so that's why I told you to back up. I call that the first cause of the angel's sin in this particular case, the Watcher's rebellion. The first cause is lust. How do you explain lust for spiritual beings who don't have bodies? How do you explain incorporeal beings having sexual impulses?
That is a very good question, but just before we get to it, you wouldn't say this is the first sin that the angels committed, because the rebellion of the angels, the rebellion of Satan, would have had to predate.
In this particular incident, this was the catalyst for what they were about to do.
Yeah, so how does an incorporeal being, become tumescent, to use a diplomatic word, for fair-looking ladies on the ground?
That's right. And not only do these angels, according to First Enoch, again, which is the elaboration of the Genesis 6 reference, not only do they lust after these women, they are determined to take them as their wives and procreate offspring with them. Yeah. So they lust, that's the first cause. Yeah. Then they descend to the earth, according to First Enoch. 200 watchers descend to the earth on the summit of Mount Hermon. And Mount Hermon's very interesting in the Bible. They descend to the summit of Mount Hermon. They bind themselves by an oath of mutual imprecations. In other words, all for one for all. We're all in this together. They knew it was a great sin, but they were going to accept the consequences together, whatever befall. And then that's why by the way, the Mount Hermon has been known since time immemorial as the Mountain of Oath. And then they descended into the plains and they chose each one woman, one maiden that they desired to wed, who they ultimately took to wife. They copulated with these women. These women conceived and gave birth to giants, demigods, the offspring of God and man. Okay? This is the Hebraic cosmological paradigm of the antediluvian world. This is the Hebraic paradigm of the golden age of Zep Tepi. Because the ancient Mesopotamians and the ancient Egyptians and the Greeks and the Romans and all the rest of them, they believe that the very same thing occurred. That the gods descended to the earth. That they copulated with human women. I mean, look at Atlantis, the story of Atlantis. Everybody knows about the city of Atlantis and the legend of Atlantis. But very few people pay attention to what Plato writes in the Timaeus and Critias dialogue, where he talks about Atlantis. He has Solon of Athens traveling to Egypt, and he's being informed by the priest of Sais about the extraordinary past of the Athenians that he's unaware of. And part of this past involves this conflict that they had, this epic conflict with Atlantis and the Atlanteans. And they tell him the whole story, right? And everybody's familiar with Atlantis, that Atlantis was this advanced ancient city.
It's a great resort in the Caribbean.
Right, that as well, yes. It still exists today.
In a slightly degraded form. Perfectly pleasant.
It does. So that Atlantis was this advanced civilization that was destroyed in a day and a night in cataclysm, right? But Plato has the priest of Sais telling Solon in the dialogue the full story. And what's the beginning of the story of Atlantis? The beginning of the story of Atlantis is that the gods who descended to the earth are apportioning the earth amongst themselves. They're creating an empire.
Be part of it,
and they're dividing up their kingdoms. And Poseidon, for his lot, he got the area of Atlantis, the region that would become Atlantis. So what does he do? He builds Atlantis. He raises up an island out of the sea, which is ultimately going to be the home of this city Atlantis. But what does he do after this or during this? He becomes enamored of a human woman named Cleito. And he takes her as his wife. And he copulates with her. And she gives birth to 5 sets of twin sons who will become the 10 kings of Atlantis. And these are giants. Atlas, for example, he's the chief among them.
So even though they may not have a physical gender because they don't have a physical body, they're still able to impregnate, though. So that's like what he was talking about just a minute ago, how they still copulated. They took wives and copulated with the earth, with human. It's fascinating. I mean, there's no way we're going to ever, I guess we may at some point, but I don't know if it's ever going to be in our lifetime that we may know the specifics of how these things occurred, but definitely food for thought. Chew on it. I know I am.
That's the backstory.
Chew on some more.
So what do we see here? Well, this is a 1-to-1 match with the Book of Enoch in Genesis 6.
8 more minutes.
Is it not?
The Dozer
it's the gods
DJ
descending to the earth, taking human women as their wives, having intercourse with them, and progenerating a race of demigod giants. This is everywhere. It's just like the megaliths that we were talking about. This is called the Golden Age. And I believe that it's literally true. That literally happened in the time before the Great Flood. And I believe in the ubiquitous testimony of our ancient ancestors. And in fact, the Egyptians informed Solon, it was in the midst of the conflict because this Atlantean empire became expansionary, they became aggressive, and they were going on conquest, and they were steamrolling everybody that they encountered until they encountered the Athenians, who were the only faction that was able to resist them, and they're locked into this epic war, the Atlanteans versus the Athenians, and then cataclysm. Cataclysm destroys Atlantis and everyone else, not just Atlantis. It's a global cataclysm. And the Egyptians kept record of this, and they told Solon that wasn't the only cataclysm. There have been many cataclysms because they believed it was cyclic.
Right.
That the cataclysm is cyclic. That there's this celestial timepiece, the zodiac, that the primary function of which is to keep track of when the cataclysm is going to occur again. So this is how the ancients viewed. So if you were to to, and I'm not saying, by the way, that means that the pyramids were built by giants or anything like that. I don't want people to think that. I don't know who built the Great Pyramids. But I do believe that many of these extraordinary megalithic sites around the world, like Baalbek, were built in the age before the flood.
6 more minutes, and then
it had something to do with the knowledge of the gods who
the second half of this will be on a premium segment, probably tomorrow.
Descended to the earth. That's what the ancients say. That's what they all
Tunes
say.
are coming.
All I will contribute to that narrative is one of my most intelligent friends, very well grounded, extraordinarily educated, very, very high IQ, very serious person, has told me for years now. He says, yeah, when I think of these ancient structures and there are all these debates over how they were built, and, I basically think it's largely demons.
Oh.
And he'll say this with a totally straight face.
Yeah.
He means it. He's not joking around. And that kind of sounds like what you're saying.
Well, I'm going to qualm with the term demons a little bit here.
Uh-oh.
So,
look at the lights.
We have a very Western perspective of angels and demons. We have a demonology that comes from Western tradition that is not necessarily concordant with ancient Hebraic cosmology. Because if you were to ask an ancient Hebrew or the writers of the Old Testament what a demon was, they would have a very different answer than us.
Well, if you asked an ancient Greek what daimon,
that's right.
Like even the phrase
that's
for happiness, right? Eudaimonia.
Yeah,
it's kind of like spirit.
That's a very good point, because the Greeks believed specifically that the daimon was a spirit, a disembodied spirit of a being who had lived in the world before the flood. That's what a daimon was. That they died in the Golden Age, and that their spirits persisted in the earth after the flood in the form of daimons. Well, guess what? That's the Hebraic view. That's the view that's concordant with ancient Hebrew cosmology. So, in the cosmology of the Jews, the demons are a very specific thing. So let's address first how we view demons in Western civilization. And this is, I would say, primarily the product of medieval Christianity.
I'd love to, by the way, before you get into this explanation, I love this point you're making, which is more ambitious and audacious probably than many viewers are even noticing, because there's this.
Well, it's going to be a lot of opinions and speculation. I mean, there's so much like that's open to interpretation. So definitely, there's going to be a lot of opinion here. We're like I said, it's going to be very hard to determine for sure, what it is. But it's fun to think about. Very fun to think about.
This idea that we all just accept as a matter of course, that our civilization comes from the melding of Greece and Jerusalem. And there are these totally different ways of viewing the world with these totally different perspectives. But really, I think it's overly simplistic to suggest that the Greeks had no sense of the Hebraic view, and that the Hebrews had no sense of the Greek view. And come on, guys, it's pretty close together.
Great
and
point.
you see harmonies and echoes. Yeah, and that's what you're saying. No, actually, there is a kind of unified cosmology.
They're all inheriting the same tradition. Now, that tradition is becoming variegated. It's taking on the idiosyncrasies of these particular cultures as they develop. But there's a source. The answer is it's because there's a source of a narrative. There's a source to the narrative of the flood. There's one particular source, and I would say that source is Noah and his sons.
Oh.
And then that story gets taken by the ancient Mesopotamians, the ancient Sumerians, who I think are the civilization that grew out ultimately of Noah and his sons. And then it's changed. The names are changed. People speak different languages. The details get jumbled, and you get these stories that have similar elements.
Yep.
Right. They have these foundational elements, the flood myths, but then they have their idiosyncrasies as well. And that's precisely because all of these stories are founded in the same original narrative.
So then, what have
the true story?
Right. What have we gotten wrong about demons?
Okay, so going back to that, so the Western perspective of demons is basically we will view demon as anything that is, demonic, anything that is scary or grotesque, we would call a demon.
Or even basic, like an angel that rebels, a bad angel.
Or an angel that rebels. We lump all of that together in this term demon. So in the Western mind, a demon is like, it's like a boogeyman, basically. It's like anything that's evil and malevolent, supernaturalism, that's all demon. That's a demon. But in the ancient Hebrew cosmology, they were much more narrow in their defining of the word demon. To them, a demon was something very, very specific. A demon was the disembodied spirit of a giant.
Yeah.
A giant that died in the antediluvian world before the flood. Their spirit, as this is in the book of Enoch, by the way, it derives from the book of Enoch, that their spirit, this is judgment. God judges them that because they're neither wholly of their fathers, their angelic fathers, or of their human mothers, that they're going to be cursed when they die to wander the earth as bodiless vagabonds, as disembodied vagabonds. They're going to be hungry. They're going to be thirsty. Presumably, they're going to have all the desires of the flesh, but no bodies through which to fulfill those desires, to satiate those desires. That was a curse that was placed on them by God, according to the book of Enoch, according to ancient Hebrew cosmology. This and only this is the origin of a demon and is what a demon is. And so,
well, what about like when Lucifer rebels? Satan falls like lightning and leads all the bad angels who rebelled against God, and there's a great battle, and they lose. Spoiler alert! And St. Michael, the archangel, wins. God wins. He always wins. And what about them? That's before the
those
giants.
are the insubordinate sons of God. These are the defected sons of God, right? These were the angelic beings who were loyal to the king at one time, but who rebelled.
All right, that is the hour mark. We're going to put a pin in that at exactly 1 hour. Juicy topic. And we are going to play the second half of this tomorrow night in the premium section after the show. So we're going to get most of the show out of the way tomorrow. I'm going to get an hour of premium in tomorrow with this. It's probably going to go a little bit longer than an hour because I will stop and talk. Guys, are you ready for some music? Are you ready for a party? It is the Dozer Den DJ hour. I will not forget to stop the YouTube stream if you're watching over there on CommieTube. Well, sorry. Follow me on Rumble. It's a good time. It's where the water is warm. Guys, if you haven't followed me on Rumble yet, we are at 837 followers. Let's get to 1,000. I know we can do it, you guys. I know we can. So close. I can taste it. All right. Thanks so much for the support over there on pill.net, by the way. Patriot Fluffy with the red pill. Nope. Saying that the other ones. We're getting to it, man. We're getting to it. I usually go a little bit earlier. Usually about an hour and a half to 2 hours is when I usually start the music. So going a little bit long today. We had a little bit of catching up to do as I've missed a couple streams. All right. I'm going to end it on YouTube. If you're watching over there, come and hang out on the better platforms. In stream. I did a couple shorts on YouTube, and guess what? I got 1,000 or so views on the shorts. I don't get views on the live streams.